Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Coffee Conversations with your host, Adele Tevlin, yours truly. I'm going to be doing more video long form for you, for those of you that love to watch on YouTube. And let's dive into today's episode, which is spicy, juicy, full of the truth. Sometimes the truth can sting, but as a thought leader, a person in this space, I feel like it's my responsibility to speak the truth so that we can grow and evolve, and to never to coming from a place of offending, but coming from a place of someone who can really see beneath the surface and that can help. You know, the thing about leadership is that leadership means you go first. And sometimes that means you have to say things that are hard, but the truth will always set you free, because at the end of the day, what do I want to do? I want to help entrepreneurial women 10x their results and live a life of freedom and aliveness and make the kind of money and impact that they want. And that requires sometimes looking at those parts of ourselves that we don't want to. Coming off of a 10-day retreat that I went to in Calgary, that was what we did. We had to go in the deepest, darkest corners of ourselves and really see and what's really there, the parts that are still the dark side, the parts that are hidden, the parts that need growth and evolution. And that's my job, like to always elevate myself and level myself up so that I can then lead others to do the same. And sometimes that means looking at the scary fucking shit about yourself that you don't want to. And there's a great quote by Leland Van Vanderwall that says, your amount of success will be equal to the truth that you can tell about yourself without running away. I kind of just adapted that a little bit there, but it's true. It's like, how much truth can you accept about yourself without running away? Meaning, even the truth around, like, oh, am I really showing up with 100% integrity? Like, oh, am I one of those people that Adele is talking about right now? Rather than getting offended, can I take this on as a lesson? Can I learn and evolve? I've been so lucky to have mentors in my life that would just fucking tell it to me straight. And because they told it to me straight, I am where I am. If they pussyfooted around me and told me what I wanted to hear, I would never be who I am today. I would never have had the success that I've had today. I would never have had the quantum leaps that I've had today. So it's my job to do the same. Okay, that's my little preamble. Let's dive in. So I wrote a post on my newsletter yesterday because I was so freaking inspired about this topic, about the truth, about what's happening in the online space, coaching space. And the reason I ranted about this on my newsletter, and it's also going to be a post that shows up in my stories on Instagram, my grid, is because I find that when people talk to me a lot about a certain thing and that I'm thinking or contemplating about a certain thing, it feels like the right time to bring it, meaning collective consciousness is ready to hear it. It's a conversation that a lot of people are having in closed doors. And me at this point, if you've been listening to my podcast over the last few years, I like to say it straight. Coffee Conversations is about, the behind the scenes fly on the wall. And so like, if you were a fly on the wall right now, listening to my conversation that I'd be having, let's say with my husband, Dave, these are the kinds of things we talk about. So let's go back to this whole idea of what is happening, the truth behind what's happening in the online coaching space. And I think the shift that is happening this year. So back in 2020, when the pandemic hit, if you can even believe that was almost 4 years ago, we were locked down and we had nothing but time. And what were we doing? We were doing exactly what we're doing here. I mean, I had just started my business online. As you all know, I closed my brick and mortar practice of 10 years and I decided to go all in, not knowing what the fuck I was doing in the online space. But I was fortunate enough to have determination, grit, and a vision. My husband helped me with my branding, with my funnels, all the back end marketing. I was working 14 hours a day at that point to get my business up and running. I was basically doing like 100-person master classes in my living room while my son was like locked in his bedroom. We were all working from our condo. It was wild, but it was such a crazy and beautiful time for my business, because that was the year that I went to seven figures in 8 months. And I'm going to be talking more about that. Um, you'll be receiving a little video about my upcoming mastermind. And that's a big part of what I'm teaching, is really showing women how to 10x their results in a way that is in alignment, so that they can really live a life that they want. So anyway, we were all locked at home and people had nothing but time. And what happened between 2020 and 2021, even into 2022, was that, anyone that decided that they wanted to be a coach was just like, I'm a coach now. Let me do this program. Let me do this masterclass. And, that was the era. It was the era because people were locked at home. They had a lot of time to develop themselves or focus on personal development. They needed something to anchor into that was positive, purpose driven. We were working remotely, so you could pop into like, an 11 a.m. masterclass. Like, it's not like you were back at the office, all the things. And what happened is, and again, I am fortunate enough to see beneath the veil, but also like, I know personally a lot of these people that had an amazing success in that time are now not having that success. And that is what I want to speak to. So we had this boom of coaching and coaches, and everybody and their mothers became a coach. And because the coaching industry is not regulated yet, it doesn't require much for someone to call themselves a coach. I mean, hell, you don't even need training to call yourself a coach. You could just say I'm a coach. But at minimum, let's say you have some kind of coaching certification and you go online, and because you know how to market yourself or like do some great stories on Instagram, you're good with branding, you're great with the visuals. A lot of people bought programs from people that did not produce the results that they wanted, or there was no integrity in the programs, let's put it this way. And people got burned. And I know a lot of those people, because a lot of those people then came through to my program after they got burned somewhere else. And what happened, 2020 was this like skyrocket. 2021, it seemed like everyone was becoming online millionaires. And 2022 hit, 2023 hit, and we started to notice decline. And what I mean by that is, like, even the people that have been in the space for a long time, I like to call them the OGs or the pros. Myself, Melanie Ann Lair, one of my mentors, I can list many of them. Danielle Amos. What I found was that it was even harder for us to sell our programs, because the coaching space got a bit tainted, because it got over flooded with the so-called quantum manifestation coaches. P.S. That's not a thing. And then the people that really have been here for the long run, for the right reasons, that have produced extraordinary results, not just in our own lives, but reproduced those results with thousands of tens of thousands of people. People started to get gun shy, even buying from people like me, because they were like, well, I went to this person and they were saying that they could produce this result. And like, they didn't, when I bought into their program, they didn't, deliver what they said. I had these expectations and that didn't happen, like, or they didn't even show up, or like, I felt like I got scammed. And that breaks my fucking heart, because the coaching industry, for those of us that have been here for a long time, is one of the most extraordinary industries in the world. We have the ability to transform people's lives from rock bottom to manifesting their vision life. We have the ability to get people through the hardest times of their lives. We have the ability to change someone's life. But the problem is that the sea got kind of swampy with people that not only didn't have the credibility, but they didn't even have the right intentions. And again, I'm not making anybody wrong. Everybody's got their own karma, their own dharma. Everyone's got their own intentions. Everyone's got their own dark side. I'm not perfect. It's not about that. It's about raising awareness so that we can restore the integrity of the industry so that there's never even a comparison between someone like me or one of the OGs in this space to one of these so-called quantum manifestation coaches who is touting 10K months when really I know firsthand they can't even pay their bills. They can't pay contracts from other coaches. They don't have any money. They talk about this freedom luxury lifestyle, but they're not living that freedom luxury lifestyle. And that's where the rubber is meeting the road. That's the integrity wins every time. What does that mean? You can only be out of integrity for a certain amount of time until it bites you in the ass. You can't say I'm making X. They're really what's happening is people are not being honest about their own personal results. You can say, oh, I'm doing 100K months and da da da, but you're not. I know you're not. I know firsthand you're not. And you're saying these things on the internet and you're bringing people into your world under a false illusion rather than, if I were coaching someone like this, I would say, talk about your real story, your real results, even if they're small. For someone, they're big. You don't need to pretend you're doing $1 million years when you're not. You don't need to pretend you're doing all this stuff. You don't need to call yourself a quantum manifestation coach. That is not a thing. That is not a thing. And so part of why I got offline in July and I stopped participating on Instagram, like physically, I still create my posts and all my content and videos, and my team so graciously puts it online for me because I needed to take a step back, because what I was seeing was I would watch these people say stuff that I knew firsthand were not true because I know them personally, or I know of them, or, I know the coaching industry. We talk to one another, and we would have like clients come into our world being like, I work with that person. They weren't being honest. And yet these people are still pretending that they're getting these results. And so that tainted the coaching industry. And then 2023 hit. And it was a real fucking equalizer year. And for those of you who are coaches, you might know what I'm talking about. It was a year where it was like everyone was on this high, and then it was like people were going back to work. People were not as invested necessarily time-wise in their growth. They've been on enough webinars. They were sick of them. They had been burned. They had been deceived. And it was like they had this like negative reaction to anybody selling anything. And even people like myself, who is legit, I noticed that how people were buying was different. I mean, not to mention the recession, the economy, everything, the war, everything going on in the world, it created sticker shock. It created gun shy people. It created fear-based people to no fault of their own. It was just like inundated of all this stuff. And so it really shifted the buyer experience. It really shifted how people were showing up to these things. And what I have talked about in my newsletter and what I'm here to really share is that this is where the whole amateur versus pro distinction shows up. And I've written posts about this, so you can follow me on Instagram if you don't already. And I wrote a post about that. It's probably been on my newsletter. And this idea is that if you just showed up in the coaching space just to make a quick buck without any solid foundation, integrity, credibility, or real results, it's kind of like the industry is weeding out the amateurs. And the pros who have been around for a long time for the right reasons, with the right results and the right certifications and the right intentions, they're rising to the top again where they belong. Because, like I said in my post, the coaching industry is not a hobby, it is a profession. It is a profession that those of us who are actually getting those results, we treat it like a profession. I wake up every day and I mean, I'm recording this episode on a Sunday because this is my business. This is my livelihood. This is my life. This is my passion. Like, this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life. I'm not going anywhere. This is what I've been doing for 20 years. This is what I've been training to do every day of my life. This is what I put my intentionality into everything I do. This is what I study. This is what I research. This is what I mentor. This is what I coach. This is who I coach with. This is what I learn. This is what I go do. Like, everything I do about everything in my life. You know, Napoleon Hill calls it the magnificent obsession. This is the only thing I'm ever going to do. It's going to be an evolution, the kinds of things I talk about, etc. But it's not like this or, you know, go back to doing something else. And so those of us who are here for that reason, this is where we have this beautiful opportunity to rise again. You know, we sort of got the shit kicked out of us a little bit last year, a lot of people I've spoken to in the industry. But this is where the pros are really going to rise because they withstood the shaky ground. They withstood the year where people were skeptical. They still showed up every fucking day with integrity. They still gave value. They still provided. They still showed up. They were still of service. Whereas those people who were there for the short run, for the quick fix, they stopped showing up that way because they weren't seeing that instant gratification of results. So I'm sharing this episode because I truly believe that this industry is a profession. I truly believe that the people in this industry who are doing incredible work, and some of them are my colleagues, my peers, my friends, I know how they show up to this industry. They're up at 5 a.m., they're studying, they're working with the best, they're doing the best, they're creating value. They don't ever stop thinking. Like, I'm always thinking about the next thing to talk about or the next contemplation. I mean, this is my purpose. And when you're running a purpose-driven business like this, it's very different than going on Instagram, rubbing sticks together, touting, you know, freedom lifestyle when you can barely make ends meet. There's no integrity in that. There's no need to lie or pretend because authenticity is the currency of the future. You will get, as a coach, way more fucking results if you just tell the truth. You know, we can smell the lie off people. We call that a double binding message. We know when someone is saying something, but energetically we're like, that doesn't feel aligned. You know, it would be way more integrous to be like, I was doing 10K months and then shit fucking hit the fan, you know, with the economy. And I really struggled there for 5 months. And I really questioned whether or not I can make this work. And then, you know, but I stayed the course and I contemplated and I did the work and I'm back and I'm not at 10K months yet, but I'm going to get back there. That, my friends, will fucking win you every time. That's powerful. That's vulnerable. That's real. That's real. So stay tuned for more on this because this is going to be like a 2-3 part series. If you're a coach, if you're an entrepreneur and you need mentorship in this space, stay tuned for something in your inbox this week. I have an upcoming mastermind that's got 10 spots left. It's almost sold out. I sold it out without even doing a live launch, just with my community. And it is really for the people that are lifers in this, that are the pros that want to go to the next level, that are there for the right reason forever, for life. Like, this is the thing that you want and you want to break through and you really want to learn how to build a business with integrity, with the right strategy, with the right mindset, with the right accountability, you know, in the right community, with the right mentorship. If this is something that you're really craving because you want to treat your business like a business and not a hobby, then watch out for if you're on my newsletter, you're going to get something in your inbox this week. All right. It's Sunday. I love you. You can do this. I really believe in us. I really believe in this industry. I really believe in women in this industry. I really believe in having a life that works in all areas. I really believe that you can 10x your results like this. I really believe in the quantum leap. I really believe in turning your annual income into a monthly income. I really believe in doing the deep identity work. I really believe in looking at the dark side and transforming it. I really believe in us. And I really believe that the coaching industry is a profession. It's going to be around forever. And you're either going to be coming up with the pros or we get left behind. That's just how it goes, right? So that's a decision that you've got to make. So if you know anyone that needs to hear this, or if you know anyone that needs coaching or mentorship in this space, feel free to share this episode with them. All right. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.